Hello? Hello? Are you all hearing me? Well, hi for those who are watching. This is not a live stream, but it's a going through review of the Fire Brigade of Flames. I have been late with these reviews because, quite frankly, the translation always, every single time, happened at the worst case possible time ever. So I do not have the stamina or the will to do it. But now these translations happens to the point where the Hajima arc is over. So the Angry Anime fan is here to tell you about it. Almost, I'm not exactly going through chapter to chapter, but I will try to be at least quick with them. Either way, the little kid has a flashback. It turns out that he was once a brilliant kid for his mother, and was a proud son of his mother. But then, when he was awakened, thanks to Renka, he was forced by Hajima to be taken away from his mother, but not until he made a vow with his mother that he can do it. And it also turns out that his enormous amount of power has to do with radioactivity. But strangely enough, Shinra is protected by none other than the blindfolded Chrome guy. Well, not Chrome, that wasn't Carone, because apparently he is always at Jaume's side because they are supposed to be bodyguards of the pillars, and he has been by Jaume's side ever since she was a kid, even though she has always hated him a little bit about it. But the one who actually managed to calm Nataku down is none other than Corona, who's saying that you have to stay weak. It's a pretty strange situation, but in the end, it turns out that the White Hoods decides to leave because Corona is the protector of the new pillar, as Nataku is a pillar. That is basically two of the mother chapters. This chapter does get a little bit more excited though when it gets to chapter 147 and stuff like that, as the Hajima president calls in the Fire Brigade of the 8th and tells them surprisingly that he wants to join forces with them, but only because the preacher is hurting their prophet. As they all ask the president if the Hajima really is connected to the preacher, they all say that they're not. They're not connected to the preacher. It's actually not known if he's lying or if he's telling the truth, but either way, it turns out that Hajima is the world, after all, 80%. So even if it is true, the preacher may not be connected to the main branch of Hajima. She could very well be connected to something else entirely, which is a pretty dark moment of it all. And it turns out that they also want to keep Nataku as a subject, although they still will treat him well. And one of their plan is because they're planning on building a new Amaterasu. We see a little bit more about the president of Hajima's personality. As Shinra say, he only sees people as playthings. Given the fact that he always seems to play a Game Boy, you wouldn't be surprised that he has a very man-child-like abilities. However, he does make one very potato argument, as Shinra do not like the fact that a person had to be sacrificed to become the fuel of Amaterasu. The president does make a valid point when he says that one person preserved the millions. If your life, you have Adora too. Would you say if your life could sell billions, wouldn't you consider your life a small price to pay? Which Shinra cannot argue against, because after all, he is a hero who is willing to sacrifice himself for others if that means that others can live. But then Vulcan enters the scene, having bust open, and proclaims that he will build an Amaterasu that do not need to sacrifice people, Amaterasu that will prolong the people's in their suffer and their will. Of course, the Hajima president man thinks that is impossible, but Vulcan is very adamant about doing that. As Shinra is happy to realize that when it comes to being protected like pillars, and protecting the pillars, the 8th Brigade will protect him. Of course, eventually the Hajima president relents, but also says that he wants profit from all this. But Vulcan do not care about profit. All he cares about is reviving the world. With that, Hajima becomes the 8th Brigade's ally, but something tells me it's not really going to be that black and white. This is basically these chapters, running through them a lot. Some quick action of it all, and that Nataku's firepower is very connected to radioactivity, a very high end of it all. And the fact that it's pretty strange that Charon, the guy that Shinra knocked out for just 2 seconds, actually protected him, revealing that the pillars do not have to be sacrificed, they must live until they can be sacrificed, which is a pretty morbid thing. And the president, I don't really know why he's so adamant about playing his Game Boy all the time, but I guess it is what it is. So, well, how can we rate them? 6 out of 10 maybe, although the final one is 7 out of 10. But you can give me your thoughts